Okay, so there can be uh, four types of flow conditions. Uh, in one of the lectures, I had defined that what is the confined flow and unconfined flow like this. So let us say this is impermeable layer. Means the flows. Please mute yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All of you are requested to kindly mute. Otherwise, I will stop taking the class. Okay? So it depends what kind of situation is there below the ground. So broadly speaking, first situation could be that flow is confined within saturation boundaries and phreatic line is known. Second situation is that flow is unconfined and upper level of saturation line, that is a phreatic line, is not known. So these are broadly two conditions. So now from this condition, there can be further subdivisions. First subdivision could be that cross section can be drawn as one zone or unit of a single permeability. Second subdivision is the cross section contains two or more zones or units of different permeability. This is also called composite section. Composite section is also called composite section. So thereby there can be four conditions. So 1A is confined flow in same permeability or say single permeability section. 1B confined flow in composite section. 2A unconfined flow in single permeability section, and 2B unconfined flow in composite section. So these are the four possible conditions in the field. So I will be discussing some conditions, but uh, I will give more emphasis on the real life situations. Well, friends, tutorial 6 has already been flashed by me today, and those questions given in the tutorial 6 are real life questions. When you will be drawing the flow net yourself by referring the books, a book, let me write, the best books on the flow nets is first book is written by Lamb and Whitman. Second very good book is by Sedergren. These are very, very good books, particularly for the flow net theory. And third is, of course, by Ranjan and Rao. These two are the best. Now, there can be, any situation. For example, this is a concrete dam. This is a concrete dam. These dams are made to store water. So this is the upstream side of water. And let us say this is the below this line, this is all foundation. This is the foundation part. This is the foundation part. This is the ground level. This is the ground level. And this is the below this is impervious. Because this is all pervious strata, this all is pervious strata, and there is a water column. H can be anything. It can be 100 meter, 200 meter. Like Tiri Dam, most of you probably have seen. So there is bound to be the flow line like this. So flow will start taking place from here. It may reach here. It will be another flow line. There can be one more. And then you have to draw the flow line as I have shown in this. And then I have already told you that you have to draw the equipotential lines. So firstly, the rule is that firstly in between this length, draw this vertical line. Say this is this one. And then on both sides of it, try to make the squares, curvilinear squares, curvilinear squares like this. Curvilinear squares like this. So within this depth, the flow net shall be formed. The lines which you are seeing on the screen, these are some representative finite number of lines shown by me. As I said yesterday, there will be infinite number of such lines. But because we have to understand the phenomena, therefore I have drawn the some finite number of lines to explain you the procedure. Now friend, this is a very, very universal or say general figure. Now what happens, as you are seeing in this diagram, that these are the flow lines which are ultimately hitting this surface. This is the downstream. This is a downstream surface, and these lines are called equipotential lines. These blue lines, horizontal lines, these are called equipotential lines. Because equipotential lines means that if you attach a piezometer here or here, I mean that will show the same rise of water column. Now coming back to this discussion, that these flow lines here, as I said yesterday, the starting this should be at 90 degree and termination should also be at 90 degree. This kind of mistake none of you should commit in the exam. I will definitely give one question in the exam on this. So start this flow line at 90 degree. So what I generally suggest to my students is that, let us say this is a dam. I always suggest that firstly what you do, you just draw small lines at equal distance at 90 degree. Then you draw the flow net. by joining these and joining this small line. Starting joining and this. Starting joining this at 90 degree. So automatically it will satisfy the entry and exit condition. Now, so when this meets here upward, this is the downward flow, this is meeting down higher upside. So this creates a sort of uplift pressure. Therefore, in the previous class yesterday, I had shown a filter here. I had shown in the earthen dam, I had shown a filter here. The purpose of this filter is to prevent this uplift pressure. So here, generally a filter is provided. A filter is provided. Filter is what? Filter is basically the layer of the stone ballast material, stone material. It can be cut stones or it can be ballast. So the weight of these ballast or these stones that counterbalances the uplift pressure, because there is uplift pressure here. So if you provide a sort of gravity weight here, there will not be any uplift. There will not be any uplift. This is one thing. The second thing is that to create or to nullify the effect of the uplift pressure, what we can also do is that, let me draw the figure again. Say this was the figure. This was the figure. Same figure. If you provide a sort of cutoff wall, it is a cutoff wall. This is called cutoff wall. Cutoff wall. Cutoff wall can be made of concrete or steel. Now, in that case, what will happen? What will happen? The flow line will again start, but it will have to go down. Then it will reach like this. Again, another flow line will come. It will go down and reach here. So, because now the flow line is following a longer path as compared to this drawing, its potential or its energy shall be, killed. And because its potential and the energy shall be killed, it will have a lesser uplift pressure effect on this. There will be lesser uplift pressure. So this cutoff wall which I have shown you, this cutoff wall can be provided either in the upstream or it can also be provided at the downstream or at both. Means either on the upstream, secondly either on the downstream, thirdly it can be both. Sometimes in some structures people have also provided the cutoff wall in the center also. So in that case, although this is a very good solution, the only thing is that it involves some cost, because if you want to provide a cutoff wall, then you have to dig this much of ground, then RCC work, cement, concrete, and all that. So there can be first this situation, secondly with uplift, the upstream side of cutoff wall is, and third it could be the downstream. This I am just removing. So there can be three kinds of situation. So if we give you this type of question, that compute the discharge coming in such situation when there is no cutoff wall, second when there is upstream cutoff wall, third is when there is a downstream cutoff wall. So in that case the procedure is same. You will draw the flow net. Flow net means flow lines and equipotential lines both, and you will compute what is the total uplift pressure when there is no wall. Second, how much is the uplift pressure when there is the only the case number 2 or just case number 3. So in these 3 cases, the uplift pressure quantity will differ. It will differ. And at the same time, the discharge which is reaching on downstream side. In discharge, in first case will be say some X. In Q2 and Q3, the discharge may be Y. In both the cases, it may be the same because the flow net is just the mirror image. In case of 2 and 3, it is just the mirror image of the previous case. But the uplift pressure in one case, say it is anything, say it is Z. In U2 and U3, it will be different, Z1, Z2, like this. Then there is one more term that is called exit gradient. Exit gradient is sort of the critical hydraulic gradient about which somebody asked me. Friends, the exit gradient I am going to explain you now. What is the exit gradient? What is the piping phenomena? What is the uplift pressure phenomena? That I am going to discuss now. Exit gradient shall also be different in all the 3 cases. It will be different. Mathematically, numerically, these values shall be different. Okay, so now I will discuss that how the differences are there in these values. Now, seepage, let us see this diagram again. If you see the topmost diagram, if you see the topmost diagram, the flow channels, how many flow channels are there? Say this is one flow channel, this is second flow channel, this is, you see squares. This square is almost same as this square, but if you feel that this is a rectangle, then instead of writing 3, you can write it 2.5 also, or as per the graph paper, you can keep it 2.6 or say 2.3 or say 2.8, something like this, as per the scale. So this is one thing. So NF in this case is 2.5, for example, 2.5. Now, coming to this ND, means number of potential drops. Number of potential drops, now you start counting from here. This is 1, this is 2nd, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? So here ND is equal to 8. So NF upon ND, this is called shape factor. So shape factor in these 3 cases may be different. So depending upon the situation, so it can be same also depending upon the scale chosen by you, but the uplift pressure U and the exit gradient will be different. But for the discharge, I have told you, in first case it will be something different from the second and third. In second and third, discharge may be the same. Now, why? Let us try to understand about the discharge. Let me write that there would not be any change in NF upon ND, only the pattern of flow net on upstream and downstream sides gets interchanged. I'm talking of case 2 and 3. Hence, there would be no change in seepage quantity. However, cutoff wall reduces the seepage quantity. Now, what happens to the uplift pressure? Uplift pressure. Uplift pressure in case 2 is considerably greater because number of EP drops along base of dam would be too small. क्या कहते हैं सर, क्लास चल रही है. Will be far too small. Will be far too small compared to the case number 3, is downstream cutoff. So downstream cutoff is worse sometimes. In respect of uplift pressure. Now,
sir, please repeat this.
What happens to the exit? Okay. What I am saying is that I have discussed 3 cases. I am now comparing case 2 and case 3. We have to firstly just try to understand, we have to make a perfect balance between the 3 parameters. One is the seepage, other is the uplift pressure, and third is the exit gradient. Now let me explain the exit gradient first. Now what is exit gradient? What is hydraulic gradient? H upon L.
Yes,
now
sir.
exit gradient is, for the exit gradient you have to catch this flow net, not flow net, this field.
Yes, sir.
The area between the flow lines and equipotential line is called field. So this is the field for the last square. For the last square, friends, the center line of this is this small line which I have drawn, this is delta L. And exit gradient is what? Exit gradient is delta H upon delta L. What is delta H? Delta H is the residual head which is left there, and delta L is this length, this small length. And because here the delta L is very small, so exit gradient is very high. So now I am discussing that what happens to the scenario of exit gradient. Exit gradient. So for this, I'm comparing case 2 and 3, providing a downstream cutoff wall would be cause of larger size of, let's try to understand, larger size of elementary spire. At downstream 2 of them. This is called 2. This is called heel of dam. So at downstream 2 of dam, this would bring down exit gradient. So downstream cutoff is very effective, for reducing exit gradient. Now friends, you have to satisfy
Sir,
the
can you please
exit
explain for
gradient.
uplift again? Uplift pressure again,
Okay.
please, sir.
What I said is that these are the flow lines, red one. These are the flow lines.
Yes, sir.
Say yes. Then when these flow lines touch this downstream side of the dam, they still have some potential. Now, why they have potential? Because there is a hydraulic head. This head is causing the flow of this water. And because the water cannot go beyond this, water cannot come here because it is all rock, impervious layer. So water ultimately will travel like this, and due to capillary action will reach here.
Yes, sir.
When the water reaches here, it still has some potential. Okay, let me try to explain you by another figure. Let us say this is an earthen dam. It is an earthen dam. It is not a concrete dam. This is the head of water on upstream, and this is the head of water on the downstream. Say this is, for example, 2 meter, and let us say this is 0.5 meter. And this 0.5 meter is what? This is the sieved water which has reached on the downstream side. Now, why it could reach only 0.5? Why this not reach up to, why it did not reach up to 2 meter? Tell me, anybody?
So we created
Why
the
did
dam
not
to
reach up to
stop
2
the
meter?
flow.
Sir, due to cutoff wall.
Why? No, I'm not talking of, there is no cutoff wall. I have not shown any cutoff wall here.
Sir, we have compacted the soil in the earthen dam, so the pores are reduced, reducing the flow through the dam. So
Okay.
at the downstream, we have lower height of water.
Second, any other answer? This is correct answer. Any other good answer? This is a correct answer, whoever has given. Any other answer also? Okay. Any other answer? Any other, please? Okay. So flow is taking place. Flow lines are taking place here. Flow lines going. Flow lines going. And I have already told it can be 1 full, 2 full, and it can be 2.5, 2.3, 2.1, depending upon the area available on the graph paper. Anyway, what I am saying is, I have already defined many times what are the equipotential lines. And I have also defined in the previous classes that equipotential lines means that this line, this line is the equipotential line. It means what? It means that if I put the piezometer here, along this line, if I put piezometer here, it will show me the same gradient. So equipotential line is the imaginary line joining the points of equal potential. Equipotential means, potential means what? The rise of water in the piezometer. If I join those points, that line is called equipotential line. Coming back to this, why only this is 0.5? Why not 2 meters on the downstream side? But the factual thing is that when the water starts flowing from here, firstly, this enters into this field. Then it enters into this one. It enters into this. It enters into this one. It enters into this one. Like this. Finally, it reaches here to hit the downstream side. Hence, this is the compacted soil mass. It's a compacted soil mass, which is consolidated over a period of, say, 2000 years, 1000 years, 500 years. Therefore, water has to exert a lot of energy. So here, the water will have the maximum energy to flow down. But as it enters in different fields, its energy is lost. So it is left with only this much energy, that it could come, reach here and stand only in this much height, only. This is also called the loss of health. Loss of health is the responsible parameter for the flow. So because of this, still I am not happy, for example, with 0.5. I don't want that even 0.5 should stand here. If it is a concrete dam, why should I allow any water to come and stay here? No, I don't want. So I provide what? I provide what? Cut off what?
Cut off.
Just to kill the potential of water. So water, only some uplift pressure is still there. Water may not stand here as a water column, but some uplift pressure shall be there. And to counterbalance that, I provide a filter. I provide a filter here. Filter is what? This is the filter. Means I stack the boulders in different layers of different sizes. Bigger layer, bigger size of boulder on the bottom, little less on this top, little less on this top. So this is the filter. So uplift pressure has to be there. Uplift pressure is generally there. This, don't think it is 2-meter high dam. The dams are 200 meter, 300 meter. Okay, so there is enough pressure here into this foundation soil, due to which there is a uplift pressure. So about exit gradient, I have already explained you. Yeah. Now for the stability of this dam, whether earthen dam or concrete dam, any kind of dam, you should make a perfect balance between the uplift pressure and exit gradient. My purpose of explaining you the difference between upstream and downstream fall, that in one case uplift pressure, one case could be better for uplift pressure but not for exit gradient. Other case could be good for exit gradient but not for uplift pressure. We have to satisfy, friends, we have to satisfy all these conditions. Seepage should be minimum. Then these parameters should also be under control. So This is the beauty of the hydraulic designs. Okay. Now, next very interesting thing now I will take up. I have already discussed the uh, Laplace equation yesterday. Now, for example, you provide a sheet pile. This is a sheet pile. This is a sheet pile. This is the impervious layer. Impervious means water may not percolate down below this line. Sheet pile. What is sheet pile? I have already told you. Sheet pile can be steel. It is same as cutoff wall. Cutoff wall is generally in the ground, but sheet pile can be above the ground also. So its name is different. So sheet pile can be steel or concrete. So sheet pile is a sort of just like a dam. So like ArcelorMittal company, you must have heard of Lakshmi Mittal, ArcelorMittal. So they are the leaders in fabrication of sheet piles. So you can have a sheet pile wall. It can be 1 kilometer long. It can be any kilometer, any length. So it is embedded into the ground. This is the embedment depth. And above this, also, then it can store water like this. You can store water. The advantages of sheet pile is that it is a sort of precast dam, you can say. You can install it. You can store water. Water you can store for irrigation purpose, for you see, drinking purpose, for tourism, for anything. Now, obviously, I have already told you in last many lectures that flow net will be there. Flow net shall be formed. So flow lines will be there. Flow lines will be there. These are the flow lines. These are the flow lines. These are the flow lines. So I have already told, I need not to repeat. It can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it can be 1, 2, 3, 4.5, something like this. Now, so red lines are the flow lines. Red lines are the flow lines, and the blue line. Sorry. I'm sorry. This blue line is the equipotential line. So firstly, draw a straight line below this pile, then start drawing the equipotential line like this, keeping into mind that squares have to be formed. All these should be squares. 1, 2, 3, all these have to be curvilinear squares. So let us say some water column is there, same as I explained you just now. So let us say delta Q1 is a discharge in this field. Delta Q2 is in this. So as per Darcy's law, Q is equal to KIA. So delta Q will be Q1, will be K into delta H1 upon, let us say the, if I take the, let us say, width of this as B, or say B1, and this as A, or say A1. So it will be delta Q1 shall be equal to delta H1 upon L. L is what? B1 into area. Area is A1 into 1. Similarly, delta Q2, this will be K into delta H2 upon B2 into A2 into 1. Like this. Now, as per the fundamental definition, these blue lines are the equipotential line. So let us say head was this much. Say it was, say, anything. It can be H, or say it is again say 4 meter. So if I attach, let us say, piezometer here, a piezometer here, on say this one, and then on, say, this one. So maybe some head loss between this and this, maybe say delta H. From this to this, again, there will be delta H. So like this, there is a head loss, which I explained just now. Before this, there will be some loss of head, means energy. Then only, because of that, only little quantity of water is, is standing on the downstream side. So what is happening? Let us say this is field 1, for example. This is field 1, for example. Say this is field 1. This is field, you see, I can take any field, say this is field 2. And above this, just above this, let us say this is field 3. Now what is happening? The fields 1 and 2, field 1 and 2, field 1 and 2 are in same flow channel. Therefore, we can say that delta Q1 is equal to delta Q2. And field 2 and 3 are within same equipotential, in same equipotential lines. So we can say by the basic definition that delta H2 is equal to delta H3. Now, because all these fields are elementary squares, we call it elementary squares. Field is called elementary square. So as per the fundamental definition, we can say that A1 upon B1 is equal to A2 upon B2 is equal to A3 upon B3, and A3, B3 have to be same, or A1, B1 have to be same, it is taken as 1. So we can say, hence we can say delta Q1 is equal to delta Q2 is equal to delta Q3 is equal to delta Q. And we can also say that delta H3, this is equal to delta H. Now, we know that Q is equal to KIA. So we can say that delta Q shall be equal to K I H upon L, which is same. A is 1 because A is equal to B. So we can say that K is equal to, delta Q is equal to K into delta H. Now, if capital H is total head loss during flow in ND number of drops, in ND number of EP drops, then we can say that delta H shall be what? H upon, we can say, or we can say that total head loss is delta H into number of drops, ND. So we can say from here delta Q will be equal to K into delta H, value is what? K H upon ND. So this is in a single field, single square. If number of squares are N, number of flow channels are this thing NF, so we can say from here that Q will be equal to, from here we can say that Q will be equal to this. So this is the equation which all of you should remember every time, that Q is equal to, means the total seepage water reaching on the downstream side is equal to KH into NF upon ND, where NF upon ND is called shape factor. It is called shape factor. So remember that it is called the elementary square. This is called elementary square. Means if you draw a circle, circle should touch all the four sides. Then it cannot be exactly, all the sides may not be exactly equal, but yes, as far as possible, circle should be drawn. and A should be equal to B. A and B I have already defined here. The last thing today I would like to say right here that two flow lines never meet. Never meet. So if they meet, it means flow path has disappeared, which is impossible. Second thing is that EP lines also don't meet. Because if meet, there are two potentials in pore water, which is absurd. So these things you should remember. Okay, so the time क्या हुआ? Okay, so today I can stop here. I will continue, and actually this week I want to finish this uplift, pressure, flow lines, flow nets, and also filter design. So my next class will be on Thursday. So let me see how much I cover on Thursday. If required, I can take extra class on maybe Friday. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So I'm sending you these notes.
हमारे पास में कर दिया वोट, लेकिन मैं काफी दोपहर में जो को दिल्ली से बुलाया इस मीटिंग, और हमें 3 लोगों ने वोट कर दिया। एक बंदे हैं सर, वो कह रहे हैं, मैंने सर को मैसेज कर दिया था यूजर पासवर्ड, ये बताता हूँ जोधपुर के हैं, लिख दिया मैंने उनके सामने, कह रहे मैंने सर को बहुत दिन पहले कर दिया। अच्छा, बहुत दिन पहले। ये भेजू सर लिखते हैं। हाँ, अभी आप फोन कर लोगे तो कर दूंगा मैं फोन, उससे में कोई फर्क थोड़ी पड़ रहा है कि कोई मना कर रहा है। ऐसा नहीं, वैसे जनरल ऑब्जर्वेशन है कि दोपहर को आदमी सोते हैं। 4 बजे कर लेंगे क्या? अच्छा सर, वो वहां गया था जैन वाले के, उसके जैन सॉरी अरविंद थीसिस वाले की, तो उसने ना अपने पुराने पैसे भी मांग लिए, तो मैंने कोई दूध दे दिया, आके हम कर लेंगे। हाँ नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, दूध दे दिया मैंने, कोई ऐसी बात नहीं। हाँ दीदी सर, मैंने का सब हिसाब कर गया, बिल ले आया बस। हाँ, आपकी बाइंडिंग करा ले जो भी। हाँ मैंने का सब। वो कह रहा था कि वो कह रहा है भाई कैश पे करूंगा, मैंने कोई बात